Have you ever been in a room full of powerful people? The kind who think money buys respect, and felt that quiet burn when someone tries to tear you down with just a few words, like they're sizing you up and deciding you're nothing, right there in front of everyone. That's exactly what happened to Nova Hale one rainy evening at the Seaforth Grand Resort, and it changed everything for the man who thought he could break her with a smirk. The ballroom sparkled under those massive chandeliers, lights bouncing off every crystal glass and silver fork, like stars trapped in a fancy cage. Soft jazz floated through the air, mixing with the low hum of voices. Big shots in tailored suits, laughing too loud at jokes that weren't funny. At the heart of it all sat Damon Voss, the billionaire tech whiz everyone whispered about. He had that polished look, sharp jaw, expensive watch glinting under the lights, and eyes that scanned the room like he owned every inch of it. Which, in a way, he kind of did. His deals funded half the gadgets in people's pockets, and tonight, he was sealing another one with a table full of investors and foreign bigwigs. Nova moved through it all like a shadow. Her black uniform crisp, her blonde wavy hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She was in her mid-30s with that steady grace that comes from carrying trays and dodging elbows without spilling a drop. Born across the ocean but settled in the States for years, her voice carried just a hint of something European. Clean, clipped, like she'd learned English from old radio broadcasts. She approached Damon's table with a fresh glass of red wine, setting it down gently in front of him. The liquid swirled dark and smooth, catching the light. Damon barely looked up at first, too busy mid-story about some startup he was about to crush. But when he did glance her way, his eyes narrowed, that thin smile creeping across his face like oil on water. "You sound like a tourist trying to sound smart," he said, his voice carrying just loud enough for the table to hear. He leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. "What are you even doing here? Shouldn't you be serving burgers somewhere?" The words hung there, sharp as a slap. A ripple of chuckles broke out from the men around him. Suits from New York, delegates from places like Dubai and Beijing, all nodding along because that's what you do when the host throws a punch. One guy in a gray tie even raised his glass like it was a toast to the joke. Nova's hand paused on the tray for just a beat, her fingers tightening around the edge. You could see it in her eyes. A flicker, not of hurt, but of something colder, like steel warming up under friction. She didn't drop her gaze. Instead, she met his straight on, calm as a still lake. "You should be careful who you call uneducated," she said, her voice soft but steady, cutting through the jazz like a knife through silk. The chuckles died fast. Forks paused halfway to mouths. Damon's smile froze, then twisted into something harder, his cheeks flushing just a touch under the perfect tan. He leaned forward, elbows on the table, voice dropping low but echoing anyway in the sudden quiet. "Excuse me." "How dare you talk back to me like that?" Nova didn't step back. She straightened her shoulders, the tray balanced easy in one hand, like it weighed nothing. The room seemed to hold its breath, the chandeliers flickering just a little as if they felt the shift too. And then, without raising her voice or blinking, she repeated the line again, first in French, clear and perfect, like she'd been born saying it. A murmur went up from the table. The delegate from Paris leaned in, eyebrows shooting up. But Nova wasn't done. She switched seamless to Spanish, her tone still even, still quiet. The New York investor blinked, his fork clattering soft against his plate. Then to Mandarin, sharp and fluid, the tones rising and falling like a secret code unlocked. One of the Asian partners sat up straighter, exchanging a quick look with the man next to him. Next came Russian, deep and resonant, carrying weight like gravel under boots. The whispers turned to stares now, heads turning her way from other tables. And finally, Arabic, warm but unyielding, wrapping around the words like sand over stone. The room was stone silent by then, not a glass clinking, not a cough. Just her voice hanging there, 5 languages deep, each one a mirror showing Damon exactly what he'd missed. He blinked once, twice, his jaw clenching so tight you could see the muscle jump. The color drained from his face, leaving him looking smaller somehow, swallowed by the wide chair. "What the hell are you playing at?" he growled, his voice rougher now, like he'd swallowed glass. Nova held his gaze a second longer, then let a small smile touch her lips, not cruel, but almost sad, like she pitied the mess he'd made of himself. "Just doing my job, sir," she said, back in English, simple as that. She turned then, tray steady, steps light on the polished floor, weaving through the frozen crowd without a backward glance. Behind her, the table erupted, not in laughter this time, but in a buzz of low voices, eyes flicking between her retreating back and Damon's red-knuckled grip on his wine glass. The billionaire who'd just been schooled by the woman he called worthless. And in that silence, something cracked open, a door to truths no one at that table was ready to face. The jazz picked up again, hesitant at first, like the band felt the weight too. Damon forced a laugh, short and bark-like, waving it off to his guests. "Relax, gentlemen." Just a waitress trying to show off some party trick. Probably learned it from YouTube. But his eyes stayed on the spot where she'd vanished, narrow and dark, the irritation boiling under his skin like bad coffee left too long on the burner. He snapped his fingers at the nearest server, a younger guy who jumped like he'd been shocked. "Another round. And tell that one to stay out of my sight." Across the room, heads turned, whispers spreading like smoke. The Paris delegate leaned over to his neighbor, murmuring something about how impressive it was. But Damon caught the tone, the respect laced in there, the kind he wasn't used to handing out. It stung worse than the silence. He pulled out his phone, thumb jabbing at the screen, and shot a quick text to Elliot Graves, his security guy, the one with the buzz cut and the earpiece that made him look like a Secret Service reject. "Find out who she is. Now. I don't like surprises." Elliot was in the corner by then, arms crossed, watching the whole thing unfold like a hawk eyeing a mouse. He nodded to himself, slipping out a side door without a word, his radio crackling soft as he moved. The ballroom buzzed back to life, but it felt off now, like a record skipping. Forced smiles, glances darting Nova's way every time another server passed. She was back in the flow, clearing plates from a side table, her face blank as fresh paper. But inside, her pulse ticked steady, mission clock in her head counting down. Nova slipped into the service corridor a minute later, the door swinging shut behind her with a soft whoosh, cutting off the chatter like a curtain drop. The hallway was dim, lined with carts of linens and half-empty trays, the air cooler here, smelling of lemon cleaner and faint coffee. She leaned against the wall for a breath, her free hand coming up to adjust the tiny earpiece hidden under her collar, flesh-toned, smaller than a pea. Her expression shifted then, the calm mask cracking just enough to show the focus underneath, eyes sharp as she pressed the mic. "Target engaged," she said, voice low and even, like reporting weather. Primary subject showed verbal aggression. Linguistic profiling complete. He's rattled, pushed back hard, but the hook's set. A pause, then a voice crackled back in her ear, male, steady, with that faint static edge of a secure line. "Copy that, Agent Hale. Solid work on the languages." That'll echo. "Proceed to phase 2. Eyes on the VIP lounge. Expect code switches." "You good?" She exhaled slow, rolling her shoulders to shake off the tension. "Always." "Hale out!" The door at the end of the hall clicked open, spilling a wedge of ballroom light, and she straightened, tray up, slipping back into the stream like she'd never left. But now, every step carried purpose, every glance a calculation. Damon Voss thought he was the hunter tonight. He had no idea the trap was already closing. Up in the VIP lounge, the air felt thicker, the kind of room where deals got made in whispers and handshakes that hid claws. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over the dark ocean, waves crashing silent against the rocks below. Damon paced the edge of the group, his tie loosened now, scotch in hand, trying to shake off the sting from downstairs. The partners were settled in leather chairs, 5 of them, a mix of faces from Milan to Moscow, laptops open on the low table between them. Screens glowing with spreadsheets that could buy small countries. "All right. Let's cut the small talk," Damon said, dropping into the biggest chair, his voice forcing that old confidence back. "Shipment Delta's greenlit. Zurich channel holds." One of the Italians cut in smooth, switching to fragments of their own tongue, words clipped and low. The others nodded, murmurs blending Italian with French. A patchwork code they'd built over years of dodging regulators. Nova timed it perfect, pushing through the side door with a fresh pitcher of water, her steps soft on the thick carpet. She moved to the sideboard, pretending to polish a glass, close enough to catch the flow without drawing eyes. They barely registered her, a shadow refilling drinks, nothing more. Her hand brushed the tray's edge casual, activating the slim recorder tucked underneath, its mic picking up every syllable clear as day. In her earpiece, the line hummed alive again. Control, this is Hale, she murmured under her breath, voice pitched low as she poured. Subject switching between Italian and French code terms. Live translation, transfer remains silent, no echo from Singapore. Delta ties to account 47B, cross-border routing confirmed. Received, came the reply, quick and clipped. Keep it tight. Any visual on the napkin drop? Negative so far, standing by. She set the pitcher down, eyes flicking to the reflection in the window glass. Damon's profile sharp against the night sea, his laugh forced as he slapped aback. But then his gaze shifted, catching hers in that mirrored pain. Not mocking this time, suspicious, like a dog scenting something off in the wind. He tilted his head just a fraction, and Nova turned away slow, wiping the counter like it was the most important thing in the world. The Italian leaned forward then, sliding a folded napkin across the table casual, numbers scribbled in pen, coordinates maybe, or account strings. Damon pocketed it without a glance, but Nova saw, filing it away. Phase 2 was humming now, the web tightening one thread at a time. But as she slipped out the door, Damon's voice followed her, low and edged. Hey you, waitress, come back here a second. She paused in the doorway, hand on the frame, turning just enough to meet his eyes over her shoulder. The room went still again, the partners glancing up from their screens. Yes, sir, she said, voice even, like butter on toast. He held up his empty glass, the ice clinking soft. Refill and make it quick. We've got business. Nova nodded once, crossing back to the sideboard, pitcher in hand. She poured slow, letting the amber liquid fill the glass without a splash, her eyes on the task but ears wide open. The talk picked up again, murmurs about routes and drops, words slipping between English and those clipped foreign bits. She set the glass down gentle in front of him, close enough that her sleeve brushed his cuff. Anything else? Damon's fingers closed around the glass, but his eyes stayed on her, searching now like he was trying to place a half-remembered face from a bad dream. Where'd you learn all that? Whatever it was downstairs? The accents. She straightened, tray tucked under her arm. Books, lots of them. Good night, gentlemen, and with that, she was gone, door clicking shut behind her, leaving the air in the lounge a touch cooler. Back in the service corridor, the manager was waiting, arms crossed over his rumpled vest, face red like he'd been chewing gravel. He'd been with the resort for 20 years, the kind of guy who remembered every guest's coffee order but hated surprises in his staff. Nova, what the hell was that back there? He said, voice low but sharp, glancing over his shoulder like walls had ears. Mr. Voss is furious. Called down twice already. Nova set her tray on a cart, wiping her hands on her apron slow, buying a beat to steady her breath. The earpiece itched under her collar, but she kept her face open, tired almost, like any server who'd had a long shift. I only replied when he spoke to me first, Mr. Reynolds. He started it, called me a tourist, said I should be flipping burgers. I just stood up for myself. Reynolds sighed heavy, rubbing the bridge of his nose, the lines there deep from too many nights like this. Look, kid, I get it. Guy's a jerk, swims in money like it's a pool. But this is my house. You pull that again, you'll be lucky to clock out tomorrow. Apologize, smooth it over. Or at least nod and smile next time he snaps. She met his eyes then, soft but firm, the kind of look that said she heard him but wasn't bending. I won't be here tomorrow, Mr. Reynolds. Family thing came up, heading out at dawn. It wasn't a full lie. Her family was the agency, and dawn meant extraction if things went south. He blinked, thrown off, then waved a hand like shooing a fly. Fine, whatever. Just finish the shift clean. And steer clear of that table. He turned on his heel, muttering under his breath about entitled rich folks, disappearing down the hall toward the kitchen. Nova watched him go, then leaned against the wall again, thumb pressing her earpiece. Control hail, lounge clear, napkin drop confirmed, pocketed by primary. Partial codes captured, Delta to 47B, Singapore echo negative. Managers on edge. Cover holding but thin. The voice came back quick, laced with that dry humor her handler always fell back on. Thin's better than torn. Good grab on the visual. Phase 3 kicks at midnight, suite upstairs. You'll be the ghost refill. Watch for the full exchange. Roger. And Voss? He's sniffing now. Eyes like a ferret. A chuckle crackled through. Let him sniff. Dogs chase tails. Stay sharp, Hale. She pocketed the smile that wanted to form, grabbing her tray fresh and heading back out. The clock on the wall read 10:15, the night stretching long, but every minute counted. Downstairs, the ballroom had thinned some, couples drifting to the terrace for air, the jazz turning mellow. Nova wove through, clearing empties, her mind mapping the sweet layout from the blueprints she'd memorized weeks back. Private elevator, balcony doors, one blind spot by the minibar. She'd need it if things heated. Elliot, the security chief, replayed footage from the ballroom in the dim security room below. He zoomed in, Nova entering through the staff doors earlier that day. Her uniform looked standard, but when he froze the frame, something was off. Her staff badge had no department, no name. He typed her ID number into the resort system. "No record found. Boss," he muttered into his radio. "She's not on the payroll." Damon leaned over the screen from upstairs. "Then who the hell is she?" It's past midnight. Damon and his guests moved to a private suite upstairs. Documents on the table, offshore accounts, laptops glowing. Nova appeared again, silent, refilling drinks. They ignored her. As she turned to leave, she murmured into her mic, "Phase 3, transaction in progress. Recording live." A small blue light blinked under her tray. She's transmitting every word. When she leaves, she takes a folded napkin from the table, a code scribbled in numbers. She memorizes it in seconds. She stopped in the stairwell and tore the napkin into small pieces. She dropped them in the trash by the sink and watched them wash away. "Control, this is Hale," she said softly into her earpiece as she went down the stairs. Her boots made no noise on the steps. "Phase 3 is done. I got the full talk on the deal. Codes are in my head. The recording is good." Her handler's voice came back clear through the static. "Got it. The feds are starting the warrants. Zurich is already freezing up. Get out in 4 minutes. Meet at the beach path. Gray car. Elliot might be following. Lose him if you see him." She reached the bottom and left the tray in a cart. The blue light under it turned off. The recorder was full and safe. The back hallway felt cool with a smell of cleaner and old food from the kitchen. Her heart beat steady. This part of the job always felt the same, the calm after getting what she needed. But tonight was different. Voss's mean words from downstairs stuck with her. He thought he could make her feel small in front of everyone. Men like him always did that. They used words like hits. She had turned his words against him. In the parking lot for workers, the rain made the ground wet and shiny under yellow lights. Puddles looked like small mirrors. Her gray car was in the third row, plain like all the others. Nova got in and started it. The wipers pushed the water off the window. She did not drive away yet. She watched in the mirror. 1 minute passed, 12:22. Then lights came slow from the main road. A black SUV drove through the gate without turning on its brights. It was Elliot's team. She turned left onto the road by the sea. The SUV stayed back, one car behind. "I see the tail," she said into the earpiece, her voice mixing with the engine sound. "Taking them to the overlook. I will lose them there." "Okay, help is 3 minutes away. Send the signal if it gets bad." The road bent easy under tall trees, with fog coming in from the water. Nova drove at a normal speed, just fast enough to seem like she was going home after work. The codes ran through her mind again. Each number was part of a big lie. Billions of dollars hidden through fake tech sales. Money going to buy guns and secrets for bad groups. Voss was in the middle, using his big ego to hide it all. She had studied men like him before. They stepped on people like her to feel tall. But tonight, it ended without noise. Just her listening, turning quiet into power. The overlook came up soon. It was a wide spot off the road with a short stone wall that dropped straight to the waves below. The water crashed loud, white in the dark. She put on her blinker early and pulled over. She turned off the lights and got out, pulling up her hood against the rain. She leaned on the wall and held her phone to her ear, talking like it was a friend. "Yes, I am late. The rain is bad." The SUV stopped 40 yards back. Its wipers went back and forth. 2 men sat inside watching. Then she heard steps on the wet rocks. Elliot got out of the driver's side. He wore a raincoat zipped high. His flashlight cut through the fog low, not too bright. He walked up slow, hands at his sides, but ready. "Miss Hale," he said, stopping 10 feet away. His light stayed on the ground. "Long night. Mr. Voss wants to talk before you go. Something about extra pay. Can we chat here?" She put the phone down slow and turned to face him. Rain ran down her neck from the hood. She kept her body relaxed, one hip against the wall. Her face showed she was tired from work. "Talk? It is raining hard." "If it is about the drinks in the suite, Tell him it is on me next time. The words were easy to keep things calm, but her thumb touched the button hidden in her sleeve. Elliot moved his feet a little. The rocks made a small crunch sound. His face was half dark under his hood. She saw the old tattoo on his arm, like a bird from the army. Not about drinks. Your badge did not check out. No name on the list. Come in the truck. We will fix it at the hotel. It will be fast. He pointed back at the SUV with his thumb. The other man inside had his hand on the door, waiting. The waves hit the rocks below, loud enough to hide the far-off sound of a helicopter coming. Nova smiled a little, like it was funny but annoying. She put her phone in her pocket and crossed her arms. List? I signed in like always. Must be a mistake from the office. Tell Mr. Voss I am too tired. Good night. She started to walk to her car to see what he would do. Elliot stepped with her, just enough to get in the way without pushing. I have to bring you back. The boss says so. And that napkin from the table? I saw you take it. Those are private notes. Not for you. His voice got lower, harder. He had put it together from the videos. She stopped and looked right at him. The rain hit her hood like fingers. Napkin? It was just trash. 2 minutes until help. She pressed the button without making a sound. The signal went out. Sirens started far off on the road, then got loud fast. Blue lights flashed on the trees. 2 dark cars came fast, sliding on the wet ground. Doors opened hard. Federal agents! Put your hands up. The leader was a woman in her 40s with short hair and a vest that shone. She walked forward with 3 others. Badges in hand, no guns out, but they meant business. Elliot turned quick, his hand going to his gun on his belt. He said a bad word under his breath. What the? The other man ran from the SUV to hide, but an agent tackled him to the ground. The cuffs made a click sound. Elliot stood still, arms up halfway. The woman came closer. Her partner's light hit his eyes soft. Elliot Graves? You are under arrest for helping with crimes and blocking the law. On your knees. He went down slow. His face changed from surprise to mad. He looked at Nova. You are with them? The whole thing was a trick? Nova pulled her hood down. Rain wet her hair. She took out the earpiece and put it in her pocket. Not just federal, Interpol, but yes. Tell Mr. Voss the party is over. The helicopter flew over then, its noise cutting the fog. The light from it made everything bright for a second. The agents put Elliot in one of the cars. He stopped talking as they shut the door. Up in the suite, things had changed since Nova left. The air felt heavy. The partners moved in their chairs, not comfortable anymore. Damon walked back and forth by the table. His drink sat forgotten, spilling a little. The room seemed small, with the sea hitting the windows like it was angry. The computer still showed the money paths, accounts green, Delta deal done. That woman, he said to the empty air more than the men. His fingers hit the table hard, moving a pen. The big Russian man from the sofa made a sound in his throat. He closed his papers with a snap. His voice was thick. I told you. She listens, not just for drinks, codes and plans. The man from Italy agreed with a nod. Smoke from his cigar went up slow, but his eyes went to the door fast. The napkin, did you see it go? The numbers were important. Damon shook his hand like it was nothing, but his face got red again like downstairs. It is gone. She took nothing. Elliot has her by now, probably in the car. We will get her phone and make her talk. Or pay the boss here. Deals like this do not fall because of one angry worker. He sat in the big chair and looked at the Zurich screen. The numbers moved smooth, but his other hand made a fist. The men looked at him with worry now, like a crack was starting. The man from New York coughed a little. He leaned over his computer. But the languages? She spoke 5 perfect, not like a server. And the questions? We go on, but be careful. The others made sounds of yes. The man from Beijing tapped his screen. The room felt wrong now. The phone on the table rang loud. It was the inside line, light blinking red. Damon picked it up fast. Elliot's voice came before he could speak. Boss, federal cars at the Overlook. She is one of them. Interpol. They have me in cuffs. It is all falling apart. The phone fell from Damon's hand. It hit the floor with a thump. The men stood up quick, chairs pushing back. What did he say? The Russian asked loud. Damon just looked at the phone. His face went white. The strong man was broken in a second. Alarms started all over the hotel. Red lights flashed under the door. The door flew open with a bang. 8 agents ran in. They wore black vests with Interpol in big letters. Get down. Hands where we see them. You are under arrest for all charges. Cuffs went on fast. The men went to their knees in the mess. The Italian fell on his papers. The man from Beijing put his hands up slow, face empty. Rain streaked the glass as agents held Damon, his reflection warped and broken. Nova entered, calm and dry-eyed, her badge gleaming under the lights. You called me uneducated, she said. I call this the end, Damon shouted, struggling, but the room already belonged to her. The leader nodded. Good work, Agent Hale. Computers packed, papers sealed, his empire folded in minutes. Outside, cameras flashed as Damon was led through the storm. In the lobby, a napkin waited. Words are strong. You never learn to hear. Nova walked into the dawn, her hair lifting in the clean sea air. He watched her vanish down the coast, silence finally teaching him everything.